All right, we do have some breaking news right now. Let's go to SkyCal overhead. Police are in a pursuit of a stolen vehicle. Our Desmond Shaw is live in SkyCal with more. Hi, Des.
Hi, Rachel. Well, here we are on the northbound 605 now as we make our way through Whittier. This allegedly stolen flatbed truck right here, work truck. It's like the second worked vehicle we've seen stolen this week. And so this started with, we had heard LAPD's 77th Division, so kind of the South LA area, and then they were tracking it on the southbound 5. The suspect was stuck in traffic for a pretty long time, and then it sounded like police thought it was coming to an end, like the vehicle was yielding, but then we got overhead and we saw this vehicle blasting through red lights, doing all kinds of dangerous stuff in Commerce on Telegraph Road, and so he took that down to the 605, and now we are up to 75 miles an hour northbound 605 headed to the San Gabriel Valley. I think that LAPD has kind of backed off on this one. They may be in tracking mode. They just have their helicopter overhead. We haven't heard if they it's such dangerous driving. That's kind of the tactic that we've been seeing lately. When things get really hairy like this, they tend to back off on the ground. So I don't see any units directly behind them right now. They're following from the air as we get into Friday afternoon rush hour. Wherever the suspect heads, they're likely to encounter a lot of traffic. We'll see if they try to get CHP to take this over, if they let it go, or what the deal is. But definitely some dangerous driving from the driver of this allegedly stolen work truck. We'll see if we can get the name of the business at some point. But you can see just the one person there in the car. Pretty dangerous stuff with a vehicle this big in traffic this heavy, Rachel.
For sure, Des. You said this started in the LAPD 77th Division area, South LA. For how long has this suspect been in this pursuit, driving away?
Okay, yeah. The assignment desk just let me know it is officially in tracking mode. We're trying to get how long this has been going on. Probably about 15 or 20 minutes. Oh. I would say there was actually two different pursuits going on at the same time as the suspect goes underneath us here. So I just kind of got to readjust the camera here. So still kind of barreling towards the San Gabriel Valley. See if I can take this opportunity to double in and get. Well, it looks like we have a license number there, but the name of the business, kind of struggling to see that. I'll kind of double in even more just to see if I can Tapio Auto and Truck Wrecking.
Yeah, okay, it is hard to see.
Yeah, Tapio. Okay, so I'll pull back out here a little bit. So some kind of truck wrecking business. So there are definitely some businesses like that in the South LA area, kind of the more industrial part, so that would kind of make sense. But check out this tire in the back. It looks like that tire is about to blow. And I did hear some talk about that they were having trouble with the tire earlier as well. So if that rear one goes, I mean, those are dualies back there, but that could kind of hamper the way this vehicle is driving as well. I wouldn't be surprised if they hit some debris or something, because they were driving along the right-hand shoulder of the 5, which was super congested. That was right before we got overhead as they were coming southbound 5 around the 710. So that is probably what happened to that vehicle. We haven't heard about spike strips or anything. This is not the kind of vehicle that they're going to be able to pit. And, with a stolen vehicle, they're probably not going to be too keen on doing that, even if they could. This is someone's livelihood potentially. So there is, some balance here that they want to try to preserve the vehicle, but it's really obviously up to the suspect and how crazy they want to get at this point, as we're now making our way onto Whittier Boulevard. So another busy thoroughfare here. We're now headed eastbound Whittier Boulevard here. We'll see what the driver's next move is.
Yeah, Des, you made a good point. The LAPD now just tracking this vehicle, not pursuing it, not actively pursuing, and perhaps that is because, he's posing a great risk. As you can see, almost coming head-on into traffic, into opposing traffic here. He's in quite a predicament, but despite how congested the road is, he's still very bold. He's just, forging forward and driving at high speeds, like you said, right now, eastbound on Whittier Boulevard. So I don't know if that tire is slowing him down any, but we certainly did see it kind of wobbling there in the background. And, of course, police want to make sure safety is priority for the community, for drivers on the road. And perhaps that is why they are simply just tracking this suspect right now. They have a good, obviously, visual on this man. And they definitely don't want anyone on the ground to be hurt, any pedestrians, people who are going home on this Friday afternoon. We know traffic will get heavier as time goes on. So right now, are we still eastbound on Whittier?
Yes, eastbound on Whittier, now the wrong side of the road as well. And this is kind of crazy. I mean, look, he's almost doing it for no reason. Oh, yeah. There we go. LAPD is now back re-engaged, so it looks like they may actively be back in pursuit on this one. And, you know, it's kind of that thing, well, if we're going to back off and the suspect's going to drive really crazy anyway, then maybe we should just, you know, get back in pursuit. And maybe that's what they're weighing here at the moment. You know, it's really difficult on these watch commanders, these sergeants, to kind of, you know, determine what they're going to do about this. And, you know, at some point, like, I feel like some of these criminals might even kind of know, well, if I just drive crazy enough, they'll leave me alone and I'll get away. And, you know, they don't want to set a precedent like that either. So it's such a tough, tight wire act for the authorities when it comes to these pursuits. I mean, this is not, we haven't heard about anything violent as they're blasting through that intersection right there at Philadelphia Street, bypassing traffic. But, you know, it's still, you don't want to just kind of get into this predictable pattern where the suspects learn that, well, if I just drive crazy on the wrong side of the road, they'll let me go. So, like I said, always really tough for these authorities. But, yeah, Whittier Boulevard here, and, yeah, a super major street, and I think we might be coming up to a fairly complicated intersection as well. We'll see what the suspect does with that, but busy street here, and definitely a busy time, one of the busiest times of the week. Friday, you're going to have a lot of people out here looking forward to the weekend, not expecting a big flatbed truck to come, you know, hurling through a red light.
Right.
So hopefully, at the very least, they'll be able to hear the lights and sirens or a helicopter overhead and realize something is afoot, because this guy is just muscling his way through traffic however he needs to over to a side road here off of Whittier. And you can see as we're coming up to that intersection I was talking about, definitely a congested one. So they're going to be taking a turn now off of Whittier and onto Washington. That's where Washington Boulevard, one of the longest streets, ends there at Whittier Boulevard, I believe. And so now we're headed back towards the 605, and Pico Rivera still monitoring that wheel there in the back. It definitely looks loose, like it could come off at any moment, but so far it's hanging on.
Definitely wobbling, and of course that's such a concern. What if that were to fly off? Oh, whoa! Sideswiping a car right there.
Yeah, just romping over the center divider. Look at this.
Oh,
like,
my gosh.
That, it could this is insane. Not even slowing down at all. What is going on here?
I mean,
absolute insanity with this truck. I mean, 50 miles an hour right up on the divider. That's definitely the scariest thing we've seen so far.
I think we're seeing desperation, Des. This guy obviously knows now he's being pursued, and he is desperate to get away. That was crazy. He hit that one car, like you said, just drove on the median like it was nothing, and now on the wrong side of the road yet again. Definitely not as congested as it was on the 605 earlier, Des. He got off on Whittier Boulevard, but it was clear for quite a while. But as he heads into traffic, he's getting more desperate.
No! Oh, geez. Well, he definitely clipped that vehicle. It's a good thing it wasn't 1 second later, or he would have T-boned and seriously injured someone in that vehicle. That was bad. 75 miles an hour. I would not be surprised if LAPD is just going to say, all right, you know, you win. I would not be surprised at all if they, at the very least, back off, because it's just getting so dangerous there. I mean, over the center divider, clipping that vehicle right through a red light. Absolutely ridiculous behavior. Back up here, just fearless, no fear at all from this suspect. Who's he going to hit next? I mean, this is just hurling down the roadway, almost fishtailed right there. It's just crazy to go up on these dividers and not even slow down. You see LAPD, they still have their helicopter overhead. We're just going to, but, you know, at the very least, I'm sure that the units that were pursuing had to have gotten stuck in traffic back there, because they're not going to drive on the wrong side. He's going to blast through right again. And, he's about to lose it. You can see that back end beginning to slide out there. This is extremely nerve-wracking here. So now another quick turn right through. Just imagine you're out here just fiddling with your radio or something, and here comes this insane driver, and you're just thinking, what is going on? There's another LAPD unit right there. So there's a lot of units posted around just kind of monitoring this lunatic, but this is a pretty scary one here as we're going underneath the 605, going to cross the San Gabriel River, and we'll be making our way now into Pico Rivera. Now it looks like we're going to go southbound 605. So, you know, I'm not sure if we're to be relieved or not that the suspect's getting on the freeway. At least we're all going to be going the same direction, but getting onto the southbound 605 now from Washington Boulevard. And this is going to be a pretty congested drive until we squeeze through the 5. And start making our way towards
I mean, you can
southern LA
see
County.
just from the on-ramp, it's getting congested, absolutely. It's so scary on so many levels. This guy obviously is desperate to get away. We saw him, like you said, clip a car, drive right onto the median, almost, T-boning a car at that intersection. He is driving erratically in the wrong direction. And also, you have to think about that tire that can possibly fly off at any moment, injuring a completely innocent driver. So definitely the police have to weigh the situation here. Is it worth it to keep pursuing him? He's obviously a great risk to the public right now. You see another unit right there. Des, is this LAPD continuing to pursue, or have Sheriff's Department joined in?
It has been LAPD up to this point, and I think it's just been them this entire time. A lot of times when it's on the freeway, especially getting as far away from the city of Los Angeles as we are, they'll ask CHP to get involved when we're on the freeway, and this has been on the freeway a lot, besides that insane kind of detour that we just saw through the Whittier area.
Yeah.
But we haven't heard any talk about CHP having any interest in taking over, and from my experience, a lot of times when you're talking about a stolen vehicle, CHP, they may not even be that interested in getting involved in this, especially if you have someone driving, really crazy like this. They're just kind of like, well, we did start this pursuit, so you guys have at it. They don't always take these over, or if they do, it might just be in a way that they'll do it like obligatory, and then the second it gets back off the freeway, they're like, all right, it's off the freeway.
Right.
So if you guys want it, you got to re-engage. But
yeah,
at least now. At least we're not seeing the suspect kind of muscling their way through the way they were earlier. Yeah, no, look, I mean, LAPD's, they're still right here.
Okay.
But there's not too much that the suspect, I mean, unless he wants to just literally plow through cars to get them out of the way, he is pretty constricted with this traffic.
Yeah,
we'll see if we see any crazier driving as, there's no center divider space for them to squeeze through here either. But if they were to get over to the right-hand shoulder, again, before we came to air, they were, to our knowledge, doing that on the South 5 through Commerce on the right-hand shoulder. I'm really amazed that the tires have held up as well as they have after what we saw earlier, just going right over the center divider like 50 miles an hour.
I know.
It's really crazy stuff. I'm not sure that I've ever seen a vehicle go without even slowing down and doing that as much, and it wasn't just once; it was like 3 or 4 times.
Absolutely.
And the tires are still all completely intact. So
I would imagine, Des,
really crazy stuff. But
yeah, Des, I was going to say, I would imagine there's been a lot of damage done to that car. The undercarriage and the tire itself. So how long is he going to be able to keep driving away like this, being pursued? But like you said, I mean, at least here on the freeway, he doesn't have a median to cross over going into opposing traffic. He's kind of stuck in that one carpool lane, and there's not much space in between for him to kind of, like you said, muscle his way between the cars and try to get away. And it looks like that LAPD unit is continuing to follow him from a safe distance. You see there, just kind of a steady pace, because there is nowhere else to go at this point. I see 2 units behind him so far.
Yeah, I think there may actually even be 3 right there. Yeah, at least 3 right now.
Okay.
4. We've got at least 4 down there. 4 of them, and then from the air as well. And traffic is at least, I mean, even though it's congested, it seems to be moving at least at a clip that's keeping this suspect satisfied to not do what we saw on or earlier on Washington Boulevard. I just can't believe that this did not end in a head-on crash or a T-bone. I mean, gosh, they made contact with that vehicle, and as unfortunate as it is for those people, and I would not be surprised if their life flashed before their eyes, because you had this huge vehicle coming through, and it was just inches away from being a much more severe crash than it was. So again, just shocked that it hasn't already come to a horrible ending. But what's the deal here? We continue, and then you wonder how much gas is in this vehicle. It's definitely a gas guzzling truck, especially driving it the way that the suspect was on the surface street. So you know, the hope, I think, at this point is that there's just not a lot of gas left in the tank. But, of course, there's, you know, no way of knowing for sure.
Absolutely. And Des, we want to take a moment to let our viewers know on CBS2 that our pursuit coverage continues right now. We are on KCAL Channel 9. We continue to cover this pursuit, as Des told us, started in South LA. A stolen truck pursuit that started in LAPD's 77th Division, heading in along the 605 through the city of Commerce, was heading to the San Gabriel Valley, got off on Whittier Boulevard, ended up getting back on the 605. And here we are through this whole past 30 minutes or so. We've seen the suspect attempt dangerous moves. He was almost clipped a car. He drove on the median, center median, going in the opposite direction, almost T-boned a car at an intersection. Right now, he is back on the 605 South carpool lane, as you see there, going through Downey and Norwalk. Right now, I'm joined by Juan Fernandez. Juan.
That's right, Rachel and Desmond Shaw live in SkyCal right now. You can see a wild pursuit happening on this Friday afternoon. Incredibly, this driver of this stolen truck, it's another work truck. We had one yesterday. Yeah. Very similar type of situation where a work truck was stolen. And we know how that all ended at the Santa Monica Pier with the driver in handcuffs. And in this case right here, we've got another driver in a stolen truck. Incredible what we saw just moments ago, jumping over medians, hitting cars in intersections. And here he is now in the carpool lane, Rachel. And it looks like, at times it looks like he loses a little control, maybe from the back tires. Maybe he's starting to lose some air in one of those tires. But it seems like he's making some good headway here. He's not hitting a lot of traffic, right?
No, Des had noted earlier that pretty much from the beginning, that back tire was wobbly. So there's some issue with that tire. You see it right there, Juan,
right there, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's very precarious. It might just fly off. You never know while he's driving, you know, so fast. But so far, it's been hanging on. So that tire continues to be a problem. But despite whatever's going on with that situation, he continues to just plow through these city streets. You're looking at video on the right-hand side of your screen when he was on Whittier Boulevard, just dangerously driving, you know,
opposite lanes
cars,
of traffic. Mm-hmm.
Opposite lanes, Juan. Doesn't care if a car is coming towards him, as Des put it, muscling his way through cars, almost hitting a car in the intersection. And look at that.
Jumping the sidewalk, jumping the median. As you were saying, Rachel, I was listening to you just a little while ago. Look at this, the desperation here to get away. And at times, units weren't even behind. Right there he is, right there. It almost looked like he hit somebody in that intersection. Units weren't even behind him. This was a pursuit that was happening from the air. Police had eyes on him, and officers on the ground were not too close.
Right.
And I'm guessing as time goes on, is the more dangerous driving we see here, we are going to see law enforcement get a little more aggressive. Desmond, is that helicopter in your shot there? Is that law enforcement?
Yep, that's LAPD right there. You can see it painted there near the bottom of the rotor. So that is their helicopter. And I just heard some of the radio traffic as well. Obviously, from what we saw earlier there, in addition to stolen vehicle, they are saying, you know, felony hit and run. We all saw it on the camera. The camera doesn't lie. That was just such a close call for those folks that I think they're going to be okay, but it was just so close to being a catastrophic crash. So it seems to be content to just hang out on the freeway right now. We've had some pretty high speeds, though, even with that wobbly tire in the back, almost up to 100 miles an hour at times.
Wow. Yeah.
And this is going to, if they continue here, why? Just there's the muscling right there. Probably clipped. That was very, very close. It looked like he might have made contact with that vehicle. I'm sure, you know, scaring the bejesus out of them. So we're southbound, continuing. I was going to say, this will just end onto dump him onto the southbound 405 if they continue at this point, and will basically be right on the border of LA and Orange County, down by Seal Beach, if he continues in this lane. And then that will get us down to the 405 and the 22, down by Garden Grove. So, I mean, we've covered quite a bit of distance now. Again, this started with LAPD's, we believe, 77th Division.
Right.
So, or somewhere in the South LA area, and then we made our way through Commerce. We had an extremely dangerous detour through Whittier. Now we're getting down to southern LA County and Long Beach, Lakewood area. So a lot of distance covered, and again, just the best hope at this point is to just kind of stick with the vehicle and hope that they run out of gas and get this, you know, lunatic in handcuffs before before they seriously hurt someone.
And Desmond, the closer it gets to the 405 freeway, I know traffic is definitely going to get a lot more dense. There's going to be a lot more cars out there. I've traveled this roadway on the weekends, and sometimes just to transition from the 605 to the 405 can be quite a feat, but it still looks like at this hour here, 3:33 p.m. on a Friday, he's not hitting too much traffic, right?
Yeah, he's had the advantage of the carpool lane, that can definitely be a trick to avoiding some of the traffic, even though, of course, they're the only one in the vehicle. So here we see, it looks like LAPD is dropping out, and now CHP is taking over. Simon Dest letting me know that they did make that request for CHP to get involved, and they actually made that request close to a half hour ago, and now it looks like CHP is going to take this one over. Their helicopter may still stay overhead, LAPD's, certainly for now, because I know we've been talking a lot this week about CHP's new air policy, and they're going to be a lot more careful about launching their aircraft out of Fullerton Airport. And since there's already a helicopter overhead from LAPD, they may just be the ones that stay overhead on this one.
Yeah.
We'll let you know if CHP brings their helicopters in, but I guess, they kind of want to avoid this duplication and using twice as much fuel.
Sure.
You might see still in the future multiple aircraft where we're talking about like an armed and dangerous wanted suspect or something like that. But this did just begin as a stolen vehicle. Obviously, it has escalated a lot since then with the hit and run, and nearly ran into another vehicle there. So okay, now all of a sudden cutting all the way over to the right, like maybe we're going to make a transition to the northbound 405. We'll see here, but we will be coming up to the interchange soon. But you see that CHP cruiser that's back there, LAPD overhead in the air.
Yeah, we've certainly seen this evolve, Des.
Yeah.
Earlier, it started out, police were just in tracking mode. They weren't actively pursuing him, but once the suspect started showing this aggressive driving and dangerous behavior,
Very dangerous.
They absolutely decided to engage. So LAPD had been pursuing them for quite a while. As you heard Des just say, they've now requested CHP to take over. And
my guess is, Rachel, this is a truck with a large bed. This driver has been doing pretty good despite what we've seen, some of that aggressive driving. But it's someone I'm guessing is familiar with this type of truck. I couldn't get behind the wheel of this truck and maneuver it as well as this driver has,
right.
Especially when you're looking at how he jumped over medians, how he's crossed into opposite lanes of traffic. Now it looks like, Desmond, is he getting off the freeway here, or is he transitioning?
Well, this is the one that I did not want to see, because
22?
the other option was to the westbound 22, which is going to turn into a surface street here on the east end of Long Beach. And so then we're going to be back into, if they continue here, they're going to be back into a situation where we're going to have cross traffic. And we saw just how insanely dangerous the driver was earlier in Whittier. So as they come right around, just screaming by these cars on the right-hand shoulder, you see LAPD coming back into the shot. So here we go, going to be heading down by Belmont Shore and westbound 22 as we get around this sound wall right here. Just hang with us and try to catch back up on this one. Yeah, so there we're going over the San Gabriel River right there. And it's going to get dangerous if he continues this way. I believe it goes towards Belmont Shore. Really nice area with lots of restaurants, lots of people out there walking around. A lot of people very excited for the weekend. There you see CHP maybe getting that. Maybe that unit's going to be taking over. So we really don't want to see this person going into an area with a lot of pedestrians, and unfortunately, that looks to be where we're headed right now.
And if he heads into Belmont Shore, we know the roads there are a little bit more narrow.
That's right.
There are lots of homes that are on top of each other, small little homes there in the Belmont Shore area near the water. And again, that strip
he's losing it again.
He's losing it again, Des.
Wow, he nearly fishtailed again. When you jerk the wheel like that with a vehicle like this is obviously not a sports car.
Exactly.
Right.
And back onto the wrong side, just barreling through to avoid that traffic. Now over onto the right-hand shoulder. It's just, how many chances can you take? Wow, really just grinding up against the wall right there. Somehow squeezing through next to that box truck. And look, that's a bike lane right there. You just plowed right through that bike lane. There would have been a cyclist.
Oh, my goodness.
We're going up on the center divider
again. Yeah.
Up again. Yeah. Boy, just muscling through. No.
There we go.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God.
All kinds of property damage. Just pushing these vehicles out of the way. How is CHP going to respond to this? This is one of the crazier pursuits we've seen in a long time.
Wow.
I don't know if this person is on drugs or what, but yeah, how much more can this car take? Everyone's just got to get out of this guy's way. What is this lunatic thinking right now?
I'm wondering the same thing. At what point are they going to put this to a stop? He's getting crazier and more aggressive and just doesn't care.
He hit 5 or 6 cars there in that one intersection and just moments ago.
Oh my goodness. My heart is pounding because I'm afraid somebody innocent is going to get hurt in all this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I don't even know if the authorities are going to, again, is it worth it now? They've got to wonder. I mean, is it? There's not any units behind this guy at the moment, so now we're kind of in that situation. I think too, what I was talking about earlier. Now that we're on surface streets, is CHP even going to be interested in this as we're on the wrong side of the road?
Right.
I hear other helicopters talking. Oh, geez.
Oh, my God.
Oh, right in the middle now. Everyone having to. That's just so terrifying. Hitting another.
No.
I think he must have hit 6 or 7 cars at this point. Just plowing right into that.
Gosh.
That Toyota 4Runner. Oh, no. What?
This is nuts.
Such great old vehicles. I really hope that person is okay. That might have just totaled. I mean, we may have totaled several vehicles, untold property damage now at this point, possibly some minor injuries. So here we go. They were getting into the Belmont Shore area. 2 more cars slamming. How much more? I wish that the tires would just give up. I don't know how this truck is
And that's what I'm wondering.
Continuing.
That tire, it's still in place. And I think I've lost count. How many cars
I've lost
he's
count.
hit?
No, my God. More. This has got to be the end of it. His plow is stopping.
No.
At least he didn't go through that Sherwin-Williams paint store. Oh, my God. It is over. I probably hit a dozen vehicles and out and just acting like, whatever. Not even a big deal. Look at this. Almost looks like he's proud. Almost this just strutting along
Strutting away.
Almost with a sense of pride.
Not even looking back,
So we're
though.
at 7th and Miramar. Just unreal. Absolutely unreal. We'll stick with the suspect for now. The air traffic is going to try to guide some people in. They have got to get this suspect in handcuffs. Some of the most audacious behavior I've ever seen is we're going to speed ahead here to get around this building. I just cannot believe what I have seen. One of the most insane pursuits of all time. And for a suspect to just, first of all, I can't even believe that they're okay. But then just get out here and act like I'm just out walking around on a gorgeous Friday, like
nothing
almost
happened.
like a sense of pride.
Right.
Just absolutely disgusting.
And my fear at this point, he's going to jump into another car or carjack somebody at this point.
Exactly.
What's the point, right? At this level of gameplay here, this is just terrible.
Des, I'm so curious. Are there any ground units you see from above? Anywhere close by?
I don't at the moment. We're just kind of trying to get an ID on. And but look, I mean, the helicopter's there. They're definitely trying to guide some units in. I'm sure the tactical flight officer is trying to get any law enforcement in that they can. If there's even any, there may not be any more LAPD officers here. They may need to just, here we go.
This
is going to be LAPD now. Now that they're going to get this guy and slam him onto the ground, slam him against that vehicle, get him down on the ground, suplexed him right there.
Right.
Almost like a WWF move to get this suspect into custody after that just absolutely audacious pursuit.
What happened to that officer? Look at this officer.
Swarming this guy.
This officer that's crawling away. I hope he's okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's clutching his face.
I mean, he might have gotten elbowed or something in the nose. Yeah, I mean, the suspect resisting. We'll see if we can get this van out of the way and just move to the east slightly. But they've got tasers out there. They've got less lethal. This suspect could be totally out of their mind on some kind of substance right now.
I think he is.
I just feel like
Yeah.
for the kind of behavior that we saw, the kind of driving, and then to the attitude to get out like that and walk away. I mean, obviously out of their mind one way or another, if they're under the influence or what. And you see just how many officers it's taking to subdue this guy.
That's what makes me think he's under the influence. Yeah, he's got to be under the influence of something because he has like superhuman strength right now. It's taking that many officers to subdue him. and got one officer in the face.
And I'm watching our replay right now, Desmond. The amount of cars left in his wake is just unbelievable. I have lost count. So many cars at different intersections.
Wow.
Sideswiped or plowed. Here's the final end to this pursuit when the driver hits and T-bones another car and then ends up in front of that Sherman-Williams paint store. And then seconds later, we see him open the door, and we're watching the replay again, how calmly, Rachel, he walked away.